is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
.15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Niranjan Abesundara. Former provincial councillors of Sri Lanka put on Perimana say that Minister Basil Rajapaksa can overcome the present economic challenges. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardene emphasised there is no danger of Sri Lanka losing the GSP Plus facility. Women Parliamentarians Caucus recommends that all electoral laws should be consolidated into one electoral code. A limited number of interprovincial bus services and trains will operate from Wednesday. In world news, Thailand decides to mix COVID jabs as cases spike. Sports news, Euro 2020 final. Police say fans broke into Wembley Stadium. Former provincial councillors of the Sri Lanka Pradhan Perimana say that Minister Basil Rajapaksa, who developed the rural economy during the time of the war, can easily overcome the present economic challenges. During the time of the war, foreign reserves had decreased to $1.2 million. However, the country now has 4 times more foreign reserves. They point out the contribution of Mr. Rajapaksa developed the economy through the Gamanaguma and Maganaguma projects while managing the international community during the wartime. They expressed their views during a discussion on temple trees. Minister Basil Rajapaksa said that he would assist to make vistas of policy statement a reality while giving prominence to priorities of the government. Mr. Rajapaksa said that he would be committed to perform his duties on behalf of the government as well as for the party. The minister said he always worked by the keeping motherland and the people at front. Leader of the House, Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardene, said that there is no danger of Sri Lanka losing the GSP Plus facility. The minister mentioned this while replying to questions of journalists following a function at Kot Tower. He said those who are against the government publicise the country will lose the GSP Plus facility. He further said that the group which tried to take the government and the military leaders to the International Criminal Court through the Human Rights Commission are behind the propaganda. Minister Gunawardene emphasised that discussions are taking place with the European Union and there is no danger of Sri Lanka losing the facility. Women's Parliamentarians Caucus has recommended that all electoral laws in Sri Lanka should be consolidated into one electoral code. It is proposed the Parliamentary Select Committee on Electoral Law Reform to make necessary amendments in this regard. Decision was taken at a recent meeting of the Women's Parliamentarians Caucus chaired by State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandes-Pulle in Parliament. The MPs of Women's Parliamentarian Caucus also agreed to propose a uniform electoral system for elections in Sri Lanka with a uniform quota for women's representation. Women's Parliamentarians Caucus is proposing to the Parliamentary Select Committee electoral law reforms to introduce specific legal provisions relating to the prevention of violence on elections and more specifically violence against women in elections. The caucus also proposed to introduce legislation to strictly implement quotas for women in political party structures to create an enabling them environment for women to be involved in governance. State Minister Dilumu Amarugama said that instructions were given to operate a limited number of interprovincial bus services and trains from Wednesday. He said the decision was taken following discussions with the National Centre to prevent the spread of COVID-19. He said that the travel facilities will be available only for workers with official identity and a letter from the head of institution for essential services. State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandes-Pulle said that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has a special interest in improving the primary health care system in Sri Lanka. The minister endorsed this when she called on Dr. Arika Singh, the new representative of the World Health Organization in Sri Lanka, at the Ministry of Health today. The current situation of COVID control in Sri Lanka and the vaccination process were discussed at the meeting, and the minister explained the special methods used to control the COVID. During the discussion, Dr. Arika Singh highlighted the importance of developing the primary healthcare infrastructure while focusing on the primary healthcare system in Sri Lanka. The minister explained how the government and especially the president are paying close attention and commitment to this. The minister further stated that the special support of the World Health Organization and the World Bank is expected in this regard. Professor of Chemistry of Texas University, USC, and former Director of Research Department of the Kotalaba Defense University, Professor Roshan Pereira, says that a country without toxins should be created using methodologies used for indigenous farming to produce organic fertilizer. He pointed out it's important to create an environment for microorganisms before farming. Professor Roshan Pereira said that the then Defense Secretary, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, took steps to commence a research department at Kotalaba Defense University in 2014. He said the President tried to introduce a better agriculture system while valuing traditional methods from the past. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank, celebrating 60 years of empowering the nation.
Director of the Health Promotion Bureau, Dr. Ranit Bhatwantudava, says that 18 persons have been infected with the Delta variant of the coronavirus. He also said that more than 5 million vaccine doses have been given to the people under the COVID vaccination program. Sri Lanka Navy seized 2,360 kilos of dry turmeric at the Mankali beach in Mannar. A foot patrol conducted yesterday by the Navy on the beach area led to the recovery of the consignment. The haul of dry turmeric was contained in 60 sacks weighing about 2,360 kilograms. It is believed that the consignment had been left behind on the beach due to naval patrols being conducted in the area. That ends local news for now.
Towards a new dimension in innovation, People's Bank, celebrating 60 years of empowering the nation.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Ministry of Health reported that another 1,804 coronavirus patients have been discharged after recovering from the virus within the past 24 hours. This will bring the total number of COVID-19 recovered in the country to 246,241. Sri Lanka reported 27,538 positive cases of COVID-19 so far, while 24,795 patients are currently under medical care. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight. Minister Namal Rajapaksa say that all residents in the Western Province can reserve a time online to get vaccines. They can reserve a time by logging on to www.vaccine.covid19.gov.lk website, www.vaccine.covid19.gov.lk website. The minister said it was a result of joint efforts of the ICTA and the Health Ministry. He said it would be introduced to other provinces soon. That came to you in Watchlight. On to world news. Thailand decides to mix COVID jabs as cases spike. Google warns of threats to internet freedom. India celebrates women who flew on Virgin Galactic. Thailand has changed its vaccine policy to mix China's Sinovac with the AstraZeneca vaccine in a bid to boost protection. Decision comes after hundreds of medical workers caught COVID despite being fully vaccinated with Sinovac. Instead of 2 Sinovac shots, people will now receive the AstraZeneca vaccine after their first Sinovac shot. Health workers already fully vaccinated with Sinovac will also receive a third booster dose. The free and open internet is under attack in countries around the world, Google boss Sundar Pichai has warned. He said many countries are restricting the flow of information and the model is often taken for granted. He argues artificial intelligence is more profound than fire, electricity or the internet. Pichai is chief executive of one of the most complex, consequential and rich institutions in history. Indians are celebrating Sirisha Bandla's flight to the edge of space on billionaire Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic rocket plane. Ms. Bandla is the second woman born in India to go to space after Kalpana Chawla, who died when the Columbia Space Shuttle crashed at re-entry in 2003. Bandla, who developed an early interest in space, works as the Vice President of the Government Affairs for Virgin Galactic. And back to the headlines of the world news. Thailand decides to mix COVID jabs as cases spike. Google warns of threats to internet freedom. India celebrates women who flew on Virgin Atlantic. That was world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Brussels organized a virtual meeting between the officials of the European Investment Bank and the Sri Lankan officials recently. The foreign minister said the virtual meeting focused on the project proposal in the pipeline for the European Investment Bank, funding and, most importantly, one of the lending possibilities in the fields of green and sustainable development, clean and sustainable ocean initiatives, investments on green bonds and SME development. European Investment Bank officials indicated their readiness to consider project proposals from Sri Lanka for possible funding by EIB investment loans. That was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Sports news. Euro 2020, police said a small number of ticketless fans broke into Wembley Stadium for the Euro 2020 final after videos showed crowds pushing through barriers. Fans fought with stewards and police as they attempted to break through gates. FA said it was entirely unacceptable and those involved were an embarrassment to the England team. Basketball news. Giannis Antetokounmpo played down comparisons to Michael Jordan of securing a piece of history in helping the Milwaukee Bucks to a crucial win over Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. The Bucks star became only the sixth player in NBA Final history to score 40 points in consecutive games as his team won Game 3 of the series. He notched 41 points in 100 home success, leaving the Bucks 2-1 down in the best-of-7 series. Mixed martial arts. Conor McGregor promised to return better than ever after having surgery on the broken leg sustained a defeat by Dustin Poirier on Saturday. 30-year-old Irishman left the UFC 264 octagon on a stretcher and with his foot in a protective boot in Las Vegas. Replay showed him rolling over on his ankle as he stepped backwards late in round 1 and the fight was stopped moments later. That was sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Seat Kelly Holdings has announced a production increase of 84,000 radial tires per year for passenger cars and vans in its second expansion in this segment within the past 4 months. Expansion will see Sri Lanka's top tire brand take annual radial tire production to 600,000. It is an increase of 16% over the current production of 560,000 radials. Production increase comes with the addition of 2 more tire pressers and a tire building machine at the Seat Kelly Manufacturing Complex. That was Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. The Colombo Stock Exchange decided to revisit the methodology of the computation of the ASPI, determining the possibility of index movements being linked to public float of listed company constituents of the index. This would allow the ASPI to more accurately reflect the price movements of the overall stock market in relation to shares that are freely rated. That was economic news.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the central and Sabaragamuwa provinces, and several spells of showers will occur in the western and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. Strong gust of winds up to 60 kilometers per hour likely at times over western slope to central hills, and gust of winds at times are likely in the northern, north central, northwestern, western and southern provinces and in the Trincomalee district. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines of the news. Former Provincial Councillor to Sri Lanka Pradhan Perumal say that Minister Basil Rajapaksa can overcome the present economic challenges. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardene emphasised that there is no danger of Sri Lanka losing the GSP Plus facility. Women's Parliamentarians Caucus recommend that all electoral laws should be consolidated into one electoral code. A limited number of interprovincial bus services and trains will operate from Wednesday. In world news, Thailand decides to mix COVID jabs as cases spike. Sports News Judo 2020 final. Police say fans broke into Wembley Stadium. That in the news.